What a night. Rangers have just put us through absolute hell in that penalty shootout, but Jack Butland, I love that man, stood up like a warrior and dragged us into the Europa League quarter-finals. Fenerbahce crumbled, Mourinho is rattled, and now there's talk of Gerrard coming back. Oh, and did you see that brutal karma for the Fener player who tried to mock Ianis Hagi? Poetic justice. And that's not all. There's takeover drama, transfer twists, and Chris Boyd nearly taking a football to the head live on TV. Want to see these and more Rangers news? Stay until the end. We are the people. Before we get into the news, did you see Danilo absolutely furious because Ferguson cancelled the substitution and he didn't get on? Here we go then. Gerrard back at Ibrox. That's the big rumor swirling around, and you can almost hear the debates already. Scott Arfield reckons it makes perfect sense. After all, this is the man who dragged Rangers back to the top, stopping Celtic's nonsense about 10 in a row and bringing home the title in style. Arfield's convinced Gerrard would take the job again, and let's be honest, after his stints in England and Saudi Arabia, there's no better place for him to restore his reputation than in the one stadium where he's truly adored. But is he the right man now? Barry Ferguson just masterminded a European masterclass, outwitting Mourinho and sending Fenerbahce packing. Then there's the talk of big names like Rafa Benitez, Russell Martin, and Kevin Muscat in the mix. And with Andrew Kavanagh and his American consortium taking over, there's a sense that this is a moment of change, a chance to go big, think bigger, and make sure Celtic stay in our rearview mirror for years to come. Ali McCoist says Rangers need to step back before pushing forward, rediscovering that true Rangers identity. And maybe that means looking beyond Gerrard. His first stint gave us the title, but does he have the tactical evolution to go again, or would a fresh face, unburdened by the past, be the way forward? So here's the real question. Would bringing back Gerrard be a masterstroke, or just an emotional decision that risks leaving Rangers stuck in the past while Celtic laugh all the way to another title? Now, this is an interesting one. Neraisho Kasanwirjo, the forgotten man suddenly reappearing at Ibrox in the middle of a European campaign. That's got to set tongues wagging. Here's a player who was just starting to show his worth, pace, power, versatility, before injury struck him down. He had James Tavernier looking over his shoulder, and that alone tells you he was doing something right. Then came the long-term layoff, the uncertainty, and the whispers that Feyenoord wanted him back just to clear space in their own squad. But now, spotted in the fan zone, rocking the latest Rangers gear, still listed on Transfermarkt. That doesn't happen by accident. If he was finished at Ibrox, surely he'd be gone already. Instead, it looks like the club is keeping the door wide open, maybe even thinking about triggering that £1,500,000 option to buy. And let's be honest, defenders with his attributes don't come cheap. If he can stay fit, he could be a bargain. But there's the problem: if he can stay fit. Philippe Clement was clear about moving away from injury-prone signings, but with Barry Ferguson now at the helm and a new regime coming in, could plans be changing? So here's the real debate. Would signing Kasanwirjo be a clever bit of business, or would Rangers be making the same old mistake of banking on a player whose body just can't handle the demands of Ibrox? Oh, you just love to see karma in full flow, don't you? Mert Hakan Yildiz running his mouth at Ianis Hagi, only to absolutely bottle it when it mattered most. It's the kind of poetic justice that makes football so brilliant. Hagi misses his penalty, gutting for him, of course. But before he can even process it, Yildiz is in his ear with some nonsense about Galatasaray, trying to rattle him, trying to get under his skin. But here's the thing. If you're going to dish it out, you better be able to back it up. And what happens next? He steps up and absolutely balloons his penalty into orbit. The Ibrox crowd erupts. Jack Butland cements his hero status, and Barry Ferguson's men march into the quarterfinals, while Fenerbahce crash and burn. And to make it even sweeter, their own pundits are ripping Yanders to shreds, saying he's finished at the club. And Mourinho might have been moaning about the ref, but maybe he should have had a word with his own player first. And what about Haji? Of course, he'll be disappointed, but at the end of the night, he's the one celebrating with his teammates. He's still standing, still fighting for this club, while Yanders is left to face the wrath of his own fans. So here's the real question. After seeing Yanders crumble under pressure, is there anything funnier than an opposition player trying to be a wind-up merchant, only to end up the biggest joke of all? Chris Boyd thought it was coming straight for his head. You couldn't script it better if you tried. Let's be honest, Rangers were up against it. Fenerbahce turned up, threw everything at it, and for large parts of the game, we were hanging on. But this club doesn't do surrender, and when it came down to the crunch, Barry Ferguson's men stood tall. Jack Butland, absolutely immense. 2 saves in the shootout, commanding his box, reminding everyone why he's one of the best in the business. And John Souttar, as Ali McCoist said, he must have won 100 headers. Scott Arfield was right to praise James Tavernier and Leon Balogun as well. 2 warriors at the back who refused to break under pressure. And as for Stephen Thompson's comment about the fans aging in that game, well, let's just say there'll be a few more grey hairs across Glasgow today, but it was all worth it in the end. And then, of course, we had that moment, Mert Yanders, full of confidence, stepping up and absolutely launching his penalty into the stratosphere. A howler of epic proportions. The only thing missing was a steward running down Paisley Road West to retrieve the ball. But here's the real question. After all the talk about Jack Butland's form this season, has he just cemented himself as the best goalkeeper in Britain with that shootout masterclass? Oh, Mourinho knows what's coming. He might be trying to play it cool, but even he can see it. Rangers are rolling, and this Europa League dream is very much alive. Let's not sugarcoat it. Athletic Bilbao is a tough draw. A team packed with experience, playing with the motivation of a final on their own doorstep. But here's the thing. Rangers love being the underdogs. Just ask Borussia Dortmund. Just ask RB Leipzig. Just ask Fenerbahce, whose superior squad is now sitting at home watching on TV. And let's talk about Jack Butland. After that penalty shootout masterclass, there's not a single team left in this competition that will fancy facing him if it goes to spot kicks. And let's be honest, this team has got history when it comes to digging deep, fighting to the death, and proving everyone wrong on the European stage. Barry Ferguson has already done something special, but what if he really does the unthinkable? What if he goes all the way and lifts that trophy? Could we be about to witness one of the greatest European stories in this club's history, masterminded by one of its own? And here's the real question. If Barry Ferguson delivers the Europa League, would Rangers even need to look at another manager this summer? Or should the club just hand him the keys and let him rebuild for the future? If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now. Go